Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more Zero Hour. Today's not going to be an actual video of any Zero Hour. Today I'm going to be reviewing the patch 1.04 plus. So there was a tournament recently. Probably most of you will be familiar with that. I did play a few games. Only a few I think I played, but the tournament is now complete. So spoiler alert, don't listen to the next 10 seconds if you don't want to know who won. Boyko won it against Logica. I think it was last night. And there's been some good games throughout this tournament. So right now, there's a bit of a maybe a competition, you could say, or there's a bit of a prize money to be won. I think like $50 to be won for whoever gives the best feedback on the patch. So this is my attempt, or I'm just gonna go for it. To be honest, I'm gonna give my opinion. If I win some money, I win some money. If not, no worries. Just gonna give my opinion on the patch. So basically, this is the tournament. There was $530 put in here by AK Baloney and Relax, so massive thank you to them. Without their support, especially AK Baloney's putting in a crazy amount of money as well, but into all kinds of tournaments. But Relax as well put in $80 in, $220 that Boyka won last night. Boyka is pretty rich at the moment because he won $200 from the FFA drama that happened the other night, and then. He's also won 220 from here, so he should be rolling in the cash right now. In like 2 days or 3 days, he's won like $420. So fair dues to him. So yeah, there was some good maps included here as well in this tournament. So we've got Irish Front, which I've only played like a couple of games on that map, but I really like it. Also Vendetta is probably my second favorite from here. They're the only two new ones I think that got added. Yeah, I think so. But actually, before I started this tournament, I'd never even seen them before. But yeah, they're two of my... Well, I don't know if they're my favourite maps, but Irish Front looks like a really decent map. Anyway, without further ado, I've got some feedback on both the running of the tournament, and then I'm going to go for every change. I've highlighted some in yellow that I think maybe need some reconsideration, and some highlighted in red, which I'll come on to in a second, that I outright don't like at all. So the running of the tournament... The running of this tournament, I think, was to try and produce as many games as possible against... Well, probably, if you're running an experiment, you want all variables to be as well as possible. So you want evenly matched players playing against each other as many times as possible. When you run in a science experiment, so I remember back in school, you're running a science experiment, you don't want to change the variables between experiments. So... For example, like if I go online now and play on Clan Wars, I'm going to be playing Tournament Desert, I'm going to be playing Lagoon, I'm going to be playing Gorge Drought, all these kind of maps. And we know what kind of percentage chances like USA has against China and blah, blah, blah. You kind of have an idea of who's going to win. So when you're running an experiment like this and you want to try and see, check the balance for a patch, that, in my opinion, is a really bad time to add some of these new maps. Even though these maps are really amazing and really decent, why do you then want to go and add an extra variable, and it just creates extra noise, and then you can't really tell? Like most of the games that I saw were actually on Vendetta. I think that was the first map compulsory. So I mean, why were those games not on Tournament Desert instead? If you want to get the best scientific, or let's say scientific results, or the best, most possible accurate results, you don't want to start introducing other variables and stuff like that. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Also, I kind of lost one set against Logica, and then I knew instantly I was out. It was only the top one player of the top bracket and the top one player of the bottom bracket played against each other in the final. So after I'd lost that one game, I knew I can't kind of really win. So I wasn't really interested in playing the rest of my games because I only played to win. Oh, actually, is there a prize money? I think there was a prize money for second and third. I don't know what happened about that. I don't think I made it, but yeah, I think you shouldn't just lose one set and be out. In a round robin format, maybe it should be the top two versus the top two. Then you get that's like a semi-final, then you have a grand final afterwards. Anyway, that's just a minor thing again. And this one is absolutely massive. So there were certain matchups banned. So for example, any GLA mirror. So for example, Tox versus Demo, Tank versus Inf, USA versus Air, or Super Weapon versus Air. That is it. They were banned, and you had to rematch according to the rules. That, in my opinion, is a massive mistake. The reason that is because Inf versus Tank is massively imbalanced. It's one of the most imbalanced matchups in the whole game. You're probably going to give 90% or 95% win rate to Infantry against Tank. And I know China was the most changed army here. And you want to kind of see how well it's doing against GLA and how well it's doing against USA. But what about the other matchups? What about China Nuke versus China? Sorry, Nuke versus China. What about Nuke versus China? That's massively imbalanced, as everyone knows. Nuke probably wins like 70 or 75% of the chances, and some of the changes here I think even exaggerate it even more. But because those mirror matchups were banned, and nobody got to see any of them things. So some of the points here that I'm going to say a bit later on, there's going to be no evidence behind it because there were no games because their matchups were banned. So that was a massive mistake in my opinion. And for example, super weapon versus air. Well, air's been nerfed a hell of a lot. Like the Chinooks cost more. Can't remember what else happened. I think that some of the V's have been increased or something. So yeah, why didn't we see some matchups and see if super weapon now has more of a chance to win against air? That's just my opinion anyway. I think Nuke versus China is going to be now massively more imbalanced with this patch than it was before. And I'll come on to the reason why in a second. As I say, I'm going to go through every single change here. So this might be a lengthy video. I'll try and get over the easy ones as quick as possible. But some of the ones that I don't like, for example, this one here in red. So global changes, emergency repair. Going from 4 minutes to 2 minutes. I really like that because it's pretty much never ever used in any games at the moment. I don't know. Probably someone will have to go back and check for all the replays. I don't know actually if anyone used the emergency repair still in any of the games, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I think with the amount of prize money that was up, I think it was like $500 and something in total. I think that could have been used in an attempt to get more games out of people. So instead of like, I can't remember if it was best of 11 or whatever, make all the games best of 13. Make it the top 2 players versus the top 2, and then have a grand finals afterwards, trying to eke as many games as possible out, because when there's that amount of money on, you can demand that from players and players will still play it. So in my opinion, there could have been a larger sample. This car bomb thing, I absolutely hate it, because then the kind of philosophy, so I hear, of this patch was to only change 2 variables, which is the price of units, which we'll come on to in a second, and also the build time of units. But yet this one here, the car bomb being changed from 90 to 60, this is, bear in mind, if I'm even reading the right patch notes, because at first when I started playing this patch, I went and found the top pinned post, and it was actually the wrong patch note. So that kind of demoralized me as soon as I started this. In my opinion, if there's a tournament, there should only be 1 set of patch notes. Everything else should be hidden or deleted. If there's only one and it's the latest, that should be the only one available to everyone. But yeah, this kind of goes against the whole philosophy. Cars, in my opinion, from every single map just need to be ultimately completely removed. I don't know why we went and made TD Bugs no cars. Removed the cars from it, and then went and added like Lagoon, and went and added Homeland Rocks, and went and added Gorge Drought with all these cars in it. Even Canyon of the Dead and all these other maps. It's silly to add these cars. And I think the consensus is now that they just need to be removed. But this kind of goes against the whole philosophy of the patch. And if I put a terrorist inside of a car, I'd be expecting it to do the normal speeder as the usual game. If I put it inside and it changes, it feels like 1.06 to me straight away, and it feels like the game's changed and I'm playing a different game. Yeah, in my opinion, that needs to just be deleted completely, and all cars just need to be stripped. Well, I suppose if that could stay, but I mean, if all cars are going anyway. But yeah, in my opinion, that goes against the philosophy. That's global changes. Now moving on to China. So Cash Hack. Cash Hack already is used and already is pretty good. I generally only get it to like 1k or 2k, and that already is pretty powerful in my opinion. It's just want to watch, because I've seen China winning quite a lot now, even against like Air. I think me and SPL played, China won both times. Even though I won SPL like 6-1, I think that was the only one he beat me. China versus Air on Barren Badlands. Probably is one of my weaker maps, and probably where I need to see more examples. But I'm hearing China's winning quite a lot now. Just want to be careful of some of these things, because a load of changes happening to China. I think they're all adding up and maybe making China a little bit too powerful. I might be wrong. Maybe we need to see a bigger sample size, but that's just what I think. Frenzy. Yeah, I probably agree with that, because it's not very rarely used. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Probably 2 minutes 30 feels about right. Nuke missile decreasing to 5 minutes. Yeah, I also agree. I can't remember what it is for Scud Storm. Is it like 6 minutes for Scud Storm? I think that feels, because Nuke missile does does a lot less damage than the Scud. So yeah, 5 minutes feels right. Landmines decreasing gives China a better defensive edge. That's good in my opinion. Stops China getting rushed. Which is not making it more powerful like Russian wise, which is like kind of what it is good at now, is kind of spamming all the infantry out nice and early, and having loads of units. think increasing the defense is a good way without tipping the balance too much. Like you increase, like let's say you put tank hunters down to 1 second, for example. That's going to tip the balance so much. But if you put landmines down to 1 second, it's not going to overpower the game. It's just going to stop trying to get in rush. So like the defense things, I'm all for. So I think that feels right. Maybe it could go even down a little bit more. Maybe some of the other things need adjusting. But neutron mines, yeah, I agree with that. It's gone from 500. I didn't even know it was 500. I thought it was 600. It's gone to 400. Okay, and it's gone down quite dramatically. Didn't know it actually took 25 seconds, which is interesting. MiG armor, really good upgrade and something that's probably underused anyway. I don't think that 250 makes too much of a difference, to be honest. This one we need to be careful of. Overlord Gatling Cannon. And all right, that's going to be good against GLA. It's annoying when a Jarman snipes it and takes it. But this... Okay, so let's talk about it now. Nuke versus China. Super imbalanced. Once it gets past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and Nuke finally gets onto a propaganda center and he gets a couple of ECMs and he gets a few GATs out, China has such a hard time. It's absolutely ridiculous. As long as the Nuke player is a bit smart and just keeps a few GATs here and there with a couple of ECMs, there is nothing China Vanilla can do. Nuke should be winning all the time. The only thing China can do is mass helixes. Okay, so when you put this down to 1,000, and when you put chain guns down to 30 seconds, and when you put isotope stability down to 1,500, and also take 20 seconds off it, and also you're making its listening outpost cheaper and faster to build, and you're putting this nuke cannon down, all of this stuff, which hasn't been tested, by the way, because the mirrors were banned, all of that stuff's adding up, and I have a massive feeling that Nuke is that Nuke versus China matchup is going to become way more imbalanced. Yes, sure, China's getting some cool stuff, like its tank hunters are getting slight decrease, hackers are getting slight decrease, and whatever. Helix a slight decrease, but it doesn't matter how cheap your stuff is, because once the Nuke has that composition, and it can now get it a lot faster, has its where's its ECMs? ECMs haven't been touched, which is good. But yeah, I just have a feeling that matchup's going to become so much more imbalanced. So whilst, yes, sure, Air versus China is now getting slightly more balanced, need to be careful. It's always going to be difficult when you've got 12 armies. I mean, was it like 132 different matchups? So yeah, it is always going to be difficult, but just bear in mind about this Nuke versus China. Someone needs to test it, but that chain guns, I think, is... once chain guns is up, and you've got a few overlords and a few GATs and ECMs, it's just completely wrecked. That matchup is just... Honestly, it's so broken, it's not even funny. Internet Center, yeah, I agree with that being priced down. It's always annoying because it can die in one shot to a lot of stuff. China support powers, for example, the Scud Storm, for example, all this kind of stuff. Satellite hack, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Some of these changes as well, you've got to think, like in 1v1, that probably isn't used all that much. Probably sometimes it is, but in like 2v2v2s and 1v1v1 free-for-all stuff like that, it is used a hell of a lot. So yeah, you got to think about some of these other matchups, because I play those other game types too, and it does affect that too. And now I would be getting that even faster in those game types, but yeah. Nationalism, yeah, I agree with that. Probably underused upgrade, and I think with $500 off it, probably used more now. Nuclear tanks, uranium shells, all not that used in 1v1. It is used in 2v2v2 and free-for-all again, which is another thing that I play. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, to be honest. Boosting the defenses as well, making them $100 cheaper. Yeah, pretty good. But again, is that just for China? Global China. Excuse me. So that's, yeah, a global China. So not only that's affecting Nuke as well. So it just adds on top of what I was saying before. A couple of Gatling cannons, a couple of chain gun upgrade, and a couple of GATs and ECMs around. I mean, it's just wrecking that matchup entirely. Neutron shells. Yeah, probably underused upgrade as well. Don't think it makes too much of a difference. I think among the pro players still, you're probably not going to see a nuclear missile all that often, but making the upgrades cheaper, I don't think harms the game. I think it probably makes it a bit better. But again, you're going to see that more in 2v2v2s and free-for-alls, depending on what version of Pro Rules you play. Chain guns, I don't know, man. Maybe put it to 40 seconds or something. I mean, because its units are coming out faster now, which I get is working better against the USAs and stuff. I just think maybe China's a little bit too powerful at the moment. So chain gun needs everything. Helix Napalm Bomb. Yeah, definitely underused. Halving it will definitely help it. Inferno Cannons, that's another thing. That's going to be, in fact, affecting Nuke as well. So not only is its army super fast, and the GAT upgrades that I just mentioned, but it can make Infernos 1 second faster as well as the Nuke Cannon, which is another thing that makes it overpowered, like against... yeah, I suppose you've got to think about Nuke versus Tank as well. So if it's Nuke Cannon... Oh, wait. Where's the Nuke Cannon? Yeah, it's Nuke Cannon. Nuke Cannon for Nuke. So that's going to imbalance Nuke versus... And that. Nuke versus Tank is going to become surely more imbalanced. I mean, I'll read the other changes and see if it balances out a bit more. China Red Guard. Does it really take 10 seconds to build a Red Guard? 9 seconds? Feels a hell of a long time, that. Twice Tank Hunter. Yeah, probably is right. 9 seconds, yeah, I agree. One thing I think about all these changes is going to make oil captures much more popular. Red Guard obviously produced 2 at a time, and now 9 seconds you can get oil captures faster. And there's a few like the GLA combat cycles are now reduced in price by quite a bit as well, I think. So I think it'll enable GLA to get oils faster and quicker and cheaper as well. Tank Hunters reduced to 4.5 seconds. I didn't think that would make all too much of a difference, but it does seem to have made a difference. And I think probably that is one of the changes to keep. Maybe it's the chain guns that just needs a rethink. Hackers being decreased, yeah, I agree. Battlemaster. Now, maybe that's one that needs even reducing even further, because they're so poor. Apart from the sentry gun thing, which I'll come on to in a second, they're one of the worst units, but they are good at defending against dragon tanks early on in the game when your outposts, when you haven't got enough outposts to defend against them. Gatling tank for China. I saw people talking about that, and maybe that's one that needs another rethink as well. Maybe doing like the tank hunters and the chain gun and the GAT tank is making it too strong. I can tell you, if you played against Sizes China with all these changes, you probably think this is too strong. Sizes China is an absolute beast. So maybe that could go to 750. I saw some people talking about that. Maybe that could be like 750 and that put to 40 seconds, something like that. Dragon tank goes from 800 to 700. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like a China Mirror. Obviously, that hasn't been played a lot. China Mirror, you're now going to see more dragon tanks. And I know mirrors were banned and not supposed to be experimented, but it is a massive part of the game. Like any China versus any China is bound to happen. Like what? 30? Is it about 30, 20 to 30% of the time, or maybe even more? ECM tank going from 800 to 700. Again, making China maybe a little bit too strong. I think all of these changes in themselves seem alright, but I think it's when you add them all together, China versus USA, maybe a bit too strong. I don't know. Maybe someone will have to look at the analytics between how many China versus USA, which percentage of army. I think China's won a lot more, but I might be wrong. Overlord down to 1800. Yeah, that's a cool change. Don't often see them very regularly as China Vanilla. Pretty good change. Listening outpost, yeah, I agree. That's the same as the Nuke one. But again, against the USA, maybe a second and $100 off all of these things is maybe adding up too much. Inferno Cannon, yeah, pretty good. I'm trying to think of like China versus... There's so many matchups you can think of. Yeah, against China versus GLA, yeah, it's going to have a better chance now. And it is more of a spam army, as Jendi mentioned to me. Nuke Cannon, yeah, I like that. Going down, and Helix. So yeah, basically everything's cheaper or faster to build now, so it is more of a spam army, so you're going to have a lot more. So, yeah, some of the maps where it might be way too strong is probably like Summer Arena, where China's already pretty strong against the USA. Now you could just flood the middle with tank hunters, chain gun GATs, all of this stuff basically, and just take over. I reckon if you played 100 games with 2 evenly matched players on Summer Arena, China versus USA, I reckon China would win a hell of a lot of time. I don't think USA will be able to do much against that. So yeah, maybe some of these changes are adding up too much for China. That's basically the general gist I get. Infantry power drop brought down to 3 minutes 30. Don't think it makes too much of a difference. Probably a positive change. Infantry hacker. Now, I don't think we saw many hackers in the tournament, but I think that's maybe too much of a buff for Inf. They're already invisible. They're already vet 1. They hack pretty good, and they seem to level up pretty fast because they already start vetted. Again, I'm thinking of other game types, maybe like a bunkery 2v2 on Fallen Empire, or in 2v2v2 or a free-for-all game, which I know is not the thing we're focused on here, but you've got to remember a large percentage of the community play these. Whenever I host a free-for-all tournament, I probably get more viewers than any of my other streams. Free-for-all is super, super popular. And when infantry gets a load of invisible hackers and they get vetted up and you can't find them, it's super, super overpowered. And let's say you're one of the other Chinas or whatever. I think that the hackers for China are coming down as well. So like China... So let's compare. Hacker for Nuke is 550. And the infantry hacker is going to be 600. Okay, so it's going to be slightly more. I just think that might be a little bit too much, because infantry hackers, in my opinion, are already pretty decent. But now there's going to be a million of them hacking super, super fast. I don't know. Maybe someone wants to do the maths like versus a GLA or something. But I just think infantry... Being an infantry on DEFCON, when he gets a load of stealth hackers and you can't find them, you can't hit them with the support powers because they're invisible, it might be a little bit too powerful, I think. MiG going to 1350 probably feels about right since his infantry is so strong. So why is his MiGs also cheap? Helix, yes, that is a really good one. Stopping Helix's rush. Another thing about the mirrors being banned, like Inf versus Nuke, for example, infantry, one of its options is to go a quick Helix and just win the game within about 10 seconds. No, maybe not 10 seconds, like 2 minutes, but or 2.5 minutes. But that now being increased will definitely balance that matchup, that particular matchup, a bit more, and versus the other Chinas and stuff like that as well. Inferno cannon decreasing. Just got to be careful of infantry becoming too powerful. I suppose air units are being nerfed. New cannon going down. Fortified bunker. Fortified bunkers are way too strong, in my opinion. That could even probably be put up to 800. Maybe 10 seconds. Probably even a bit more, because they're such a good defense. I mean, you drop down a couple of them versus a GLA and push out with your outpost army. GLA cannot counterattack, cannot do anything, because the mines are there for free. The bunkers are super, super strong and can hold loads of units. They are super, super strong. So if you want to do anything to infantry further, you probably could increase that a little bit more, because I don't think that is making too much of a difference. I think infantry is still pretty strong because of that. There's such a... even at that, I would still spam the same amount that is there. So maybe that could be increased if you find infantry still too strong. Nuke missile, 5,000. Don't think it makes too much of a difference. Isotope stability, I said that's going to imbalance some, but it's also going to make it better against like GLA. So, I mean, it swings and roundabouts. Red Guards becoming a lot faster and cheaper. Going to mean more oil builds. You're going to see a lot more oil captures. Tank Hunters coming down a bit as well. I mean, again, I know some stuff's been buffed for China, but also like there's buffs here for Nuke all over the place. So I'm thinking about that particular matchup again, Nuke versus China, which I played quite a lot in the last couple of months. I'm afraid Nuke's becoming too powerful. Black Lotus is coming cheaper as well. Battlemaster going down to 780. So you could even spam. I mean, you're going to be able to spam outposts at the same rate as China. And you're going to be able to spam cheaper Battlemasters as well. Yeah, but I agree it's going to be making it more balanced against the other matchups like USA and stuff. Again, it's difficult when there's 12 different armies or 3 main factions. It's always going to be difficult. Helix Nuke Bomb. Going from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. Yeah, I like that. It's definitely not used in the game much at the moment. Tank drop. Going from 4 minutes to 3 minutes of tank. I think that is used already sometimes. I think the 3-minute cooldown probably feels a bit better. I agree with that. As I say, I probably agree here with 90 or 95% of all the changes. Maybe even like 97% or something. So I think in general this patch is going in the right direction. Okay, Red Guard. Again, just going to be promoting oil builds and everything. You're not going to be spamming it against the USA. You're going to make troop crawlers for that, but it's just going to promote oil builds. So oil's going to become a lot more predominant. Which probably a good thing. Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing because it gives China another option, because most people for China tank are just going to be producing the 2 war factories and just spamming out the 2 war factories and then get the oils with the Lotus later. So I think it's rare to see tank just go straight for the oils, so that's probably a good change. Vary it up a little bit. Tank Hunter's getting cheap. I think that's alright, to be honest. I don't think it's massive. Black Lotus going cheaper. 1500, yeah, probably feels better. Hacker, definitely a good change because tank hackers at the moment are just absolutely ridiculous. Never worth making. I mean, if you speak to Spalding, he's got very strong views on it. So the tank hacker going down, yeah, I think that's definitely a good change. I mean, again, in the other game types like free-for-alls and 2v2v2s or 3v3s even, it actually makes sense now, I think, to... again, someone might want to do the maths on it. I've not done the maths on it, but at 550 and 5 seconds quicker, I will definitely be making tank hackers now. But I didn't get the chance to in the tournament. I don't think I played... Yeah, I played tank a few times, but didn't go late game at all. Listening outpost, decreasing for tank... Yeah, I think it feels right. MiG, 1600 going out to 1500. Yeah, because they were way too expensive before. So, for example, tank against Nuke, when he gets a nuke cannon out, the only way you can really take out that nuke cannon, if it's guarded by GATs, is probably with MiGs. You want to hit and run, get out of there without getting shot down by the GATs, or maybe you want to hit the GATs and the nuke at the same time. So I think that gives it a bit of a chance without making them too cheap. So, yeah, I agree with that. Helix now 20 seconds. So that'll be 20 seconds against the infantry. Helix is 25 seconds. So I think, yeah, that's all right. I'm just trying to think against, like, on a large map against GLA. If tank gets a composition of helixes and it's got a strong ground army as well. So actually, helixes for tank are now going to be much more viable. Because their tank gunners are cheaper, faster to build, and the helix is faster. And you could always mix into MiGs as well. So yeah, just thinking on like large maps, is that going to imbalance? Like let's say you play Gorge Drought, tank versus GLA. I don't think it'll imbalance it. I think it'll balance it more because I think you'd probably say GLA still has the edge. So yeah, I like all of those changes. It's pretty good. USA changelog, and this is where I don't like some of the stuff. I'm just conscious of the time, so I'm going to try and go a little bit quicker through this. Composite armor. Again, I think that goes against the philosophy of the patch. I think that affects the Paladin. I don't think it gave 25% HP to the Paladin. I might be wrong. I think it gave it to the Crusader, but not the Paladin. Probably good, to be honest. And even though it goes against the philosophy, I like that, to be honest. But yeah, it does go against the philosophy of the patch, not changing it. Power drop. Power drop for USA? Yeah, I mean, I'm still not going to use it. It's absolutely worthless, to be honest, compared to like A10 and Spectre. You're never going to get power drop anyway. You could probably even make that less. Maybe 2 minutes. I don't know if anyone used it in the tournament. I don't think so. But I'm just thinking if you make it if it was like every 30 seconds, you don't want to see Rangers being dropped on GLA supply every 5 seconds, every 30 seconds to you. So airfield being decreased, yeah, cool. Pathfinders being increased, to be honest. Yeah, with a 5 second... I think they could even go up to 1,000 because it's ridiculous that they can one-shot a Jarman. Like in patch 1.06 where they have to like 2 or 3 shot Jarman. I think that's probably better, although again that changes the game fundamentally. Pathfinders, like for example when you're against infantry, as soon as you got Pathfinders at level 3, infantry, most of its stuff is completely useless. I mean, as long as the USA bunkers up, there's literally not much Inf can do apart from like mass helixes, or he wants to come in with napalm or whatever. But against the good USA player with the Pathfinders, it's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I like that change increasing. It's also pretty overpowered against GLA as well. When Pathfinder's out, it wrecks loads of stuff GLA has too. Flashbangs, it always did feel a bit long. Again, that's going to make it more powerful against Inf. So yeah, more powerful against Inf, but that's going to make it weaker. So yeah, probably balances out, but probably more of a nerf because of the Pathfinder, which to be honest I like. Tow missile, probably... That's all USA. So that's probably one of the reasons why USA is losing now more to China, because China's got a load of boosts and then USA is getting nerfed, because that's like a really, really important strategic upgrade that you pretty much see in every single pro game. So yeah, maybe that's one of the ones that wants to be reviewed actually. Yeah, I think 1,000 maybe feels right. I think it's maybe the China changes that need to be toned down, but that's one for consideration. Like the yellow ones, I put for consideration or reconsideration. The red ones I outright don't like. Right, this one is a one I absolutely hate. So you might remember a game, me versus Logico, when he did the sentry drone stuff. I don't know if he invented that himself or if he's seen someone else do it or whatever. But in my opinion, this sentry drone should not even be in the game at all. And so I'm going to use my experience with other games here. So occasionally, well, actually, most days I play Counter-Strike Go as well. And I'm familiar with the updates going on there. Now, in Counter-Strike Go, there's loads and loads of weapons. Let's say there's 100 different weapons. But 95% of the games, you will see the same weapons used. So you'll see the Desert Eagle used, and you will see the AK-47 used, and you will see the M4A1S used, or whatever. And what Valve have been trying to do, so Valve are the creators of CSGO, they've been trying to make every gun viable. So you will see, rather than just seeing 5% of the guns being used in all the games, they're trying to make it so like all the weaker guns and all the weird random guns that you never normally see, they're all being used. And some of the community like that, and a lot of the community hate it as well. And they say a game shouldn't be where everything has to be used. It doesn't have to be like that. And I kind of... Well, I definitely agree with this here. Why does USA need the Sentry Drone? The Sentry Drone, well, with all these changes here, it's being now used as a weapon. So in that game I played against Logica, he made like loads and loads of Sentry Drones and he used it as a weapon. And they were even like taking down Gatling tanks and outposts. They were taking down buildings. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't think anyone wants to see that in the game. USA doesn't need now another angle. And in my opinion, that's changing the game too much. It felt a bit weird. And okay, yeah, over time players might adapt to it and whatever, but I just feel like USA doesn't need it. It's not meant to be used for be killing buildings and stuff. Who wants to see 100 sentry drones, invisible sentry drones running around killing buildings? It changes the game too much. It's not what we love and know. It does change it too much. So the reason the sentry drone is meant to be in the game is to be able to scout and detect stealth. But please tell me, why does USA need to scout and detect stealth? It's got Vs that can build drones on it, which are absolutely ridiculous and can see the whole map. It's got scan. It's got a drone from the command center as well as the scan. And then you've got the search and destroy, which detects stealth all the way around it and has a massive field of vision. And then also you've got the intelligence from the strategy center as well. So you've got all of these scanning abilities. USA, trust me, does not need more, and it does not need another weapon that's going to wreck the game by these sentry drone guns. So in my opinion, the sentry drone, 95% of the change needs reversing, or just put it back to what it was before. It doesn't need to be in the game. Like I said, everything in the game doesn't need to be used. Sentry drones, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion. I think they need to go back to where they were before. It does not need a scout. It does not need them. Honestly, I don't think it needs it. Rocket pods going from 800 to 1,000. That's global. Probably agree with that for air. Not so sure about USA, but we'll come on to the USA Comanches soon. Bunker Buster going down, yeah, good. I still don't think they'll get used though, because they are pretty useless. Drone armor, 25 seconds. Is that the one from the strategy center? I think it is. I'm not sure that really needs to happen, to be honest, because it's already $500. Does it really need to be buffed again? Because the drones are annoying. So, for example, when you are USA against GLA and you just make TOV missiles with TOVs with Hellfire, they wreck quads and they wreck buggies and they wreck everything. Does it really need a buff? Probably. I think that's one for reconsideration. I don't think that's broke anyway. Might be wrong. Maybe some people feel different. Probably one for reconsideration, in my opinion. Stealth fighter has been reduced. Yeah, I like that. Scout drone. Scout drone. Oh yeah, scout drone. $150. Well, that's one of the other things making USA worse, and probably why China's winning a lot more games now. 150, yeah, probably feels about right, because it's ridiculous that they can just scout. They have a massive vision. They can scout everything. Demo traps always found. Everything's always found because of that. So yeah, I like that change. Air Force early emergency repair, 2 minutes. Yeah, I like that. Still won't get used though, in my view, because you got the ambulances to repair stuff anyway, and you can't use the ambulance and the repair at the same time because the Vs can only get repaired by one thing. But yeah, it still won't get used. I mean, maybe it'll get used on the tanks and stuff, because I know some of the tanks have been reduced, but I still don't think you'll see that all too much. Carpet bomb from 4 to 6 minutes. That's a massive increase, 50%, but probably... Well, it's definitely why air is now losing to China sometimes. Probably feels about right though, but 6 minutes? Is that the longest now? I actually thought it was less than 4 minutes, to be honest. 6 minutes feels like a hell of a long time, but it is pretty powerful. It is pretty instant. You can't really stop it. So 6 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes or 5 minutes 30. 6 feels maybe a bit extreme. But I suppose it is super powerful. Probably one for reconsideration. Maybe try 550. Or maybe leave it, to be honest, because air is the strongest general. So if anything needs to get nerfed, it is air. I don't know. See what you think. Patriot missile. 700. But it takes 30 seconds to build now. This is one thing that has changed a lot, and you do see Patriot missiles being built now. I'll always build one for 700. I think you saw me a few times. Even in that game against SPL, I think I built one, and SPL built one against me. That Barren Badlands where Air Force lost both times. I think you'll see them more now. And it might now be feasible to do a no eco, drop down a standard Patriot in your base just to defend against the GATs, because it's like cheaper than everything else. I mean, you still need to get the power upgrade. Yeah, that changes the game quite a lot. I don't know if it's overpowered now, because now you could drop a dozer and build a Patriot. Don't think it's that overpowered. It is quite a chunky decrease though, and definitely you'll see more Patriots now. I suppose you don't see them at the moment, so maybe it is all for a good change. Chinook going from 800 to 1200 massively changes the game. So like I was talking to Boyka about it the other day. Now if you're in an air mirror, it's so at the moment you can build like 3 Chinooks on each supply, and you don't notice it that much, and you can lose a Chinook and just instantly rebuild it. But now in an air mirror, which of course we didn't see because mirrors are banned, now in an air mirror you will definitely target the Chinooks. You will not target the power and dozers and then the supply center. You will now just target the Chinooks because they're so expensive to repair. And also when a drop comes in your base and you lose the Chinooks, then now it will now be GG if you lose a couple of Chinooks. Yes, that changes the game massively, but it does make it a lot weaker against the other USAs. So the other USAs now actually has a chance against a good air. So yeah, if Air Force is losing too much now, maybe you could bat it to 1100. I suppose you still get the PDLs though, so it's still overpowered. So yeah, I suppose that feel right. But if it's now too weak or something because of all these changes, maybe that can come down to like 1100 or something. But just to let you know, it does change the game massively. So for example, another build order that you can do currently in the game as Air Force is you can, like, let's say you're against the GLA, you can build 2 supplies and a power, and you can keep your command center, and you can still drop down a war factory. You've still got enough money to do that. But now with that change, you won't be able to do it. So it does change it quite a bit. Combat Nuke going to 30 seconds. Yeah, I agree. It gives the other USAs a chance now versus that crazy rush. And even like later game, if you like against the GLA, and you make the combat nukes, yeah, I think it's a good change. Because 5 seconds doesn't increase it that much, but it does stop that hard rush. Sentry Drone talked about it before. Honestly, just put it back to how it was before. I hate these things. They're not needed for their own purpose. Stealth Fighter going to 950. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think we saw him in the tournament. I might be wrong. I didn't see any games of him, but yeah, it might actually be used now. Good for taking out base defenses like EMP Patriots, or not sure how many's needed to kill a tunnel. Not to clear the inside of the tunnel, but to kill a tunnel. But yeah, I like that change. Patriot missile for USA. Yeah, talked about that before. Good change. Crusader going down to 850. Yeah, I like it. Paladin. Yeah, I like it because it's an underused tank. I'd like to see that more. So yeah, good change. Ambulance going to 700. Yeah, I like that because ambulances are overpowered with the Vs. Like that. And then all of these buffs for the air units, I do like that. So like a Raptor, I think one-shots an outpost for infantry, now going to $900. So airfield, which became cheaper as well, I think it's like 700 now. Airfield for USA is now definitely possible. Again, Sentry Drone, just get rid of it, in my opinion. Laser Crusader, this is one where, like, let's say you tank against laser. Now these Laser Crusaders are super cheap. I think it might get a bit too hard for trying to tank. I haven't played loads of it, so not 100%, but I think Laser Crusaders are already pretty strong. Maybe 850. I mean, it's only minor, but they are cheaper, and they're more spammable now because of that price. Ambulance, yeah, fine. Avengers, 12 seconds. Gonna make it weaker against Air Force. So like if you were gonna drop a full V in a Avenger, 2 seconds your rush is gonna be delayed by. So that's something to think about. Again, we definitely would have seen it because mirrors were banned, but that's another imbalanced matchup and need to consider about that change. Why else would that be nerfed? Why is that getting nerfed? Avenger. I suppose against the Chinas. So yeah, another reason why China might be winning more now if If it can spam more units, I suppose its MiGs are the same price, are they? I think. So yeah, I suppose that is pretty overpowered against the China. So yeah, whereas it might balance versus China more versus air, that's making it weak. It's making it weaker. Even though the Chinooks are getting more expensive for air, that's making that rush less feasible now. So you know the rush I'm talking about when you do a no eco, you do a full V and you drop an Avenger and a full V on air, and sometimes you can win the game outright by doing that. It gives you what's probably one of your best chances against air, but now that rush is going to be slowed down a bit. Raptor, all the air things, yeah, I agree with that, because you never see these other things. I mean, you see Rage sometimes building Comanches as some of the other armies, but now it actually makes them feasible for the rest of us. I think Rage only does it to show off. Super weapon. Okay, so the particle getting more expensive, 3,000. I think I agree with that one, because at the moment, if you're going to drop down a supply drop zone or a particle, which costs the same in the current game, now it's 3,000. It'll probably make you rethink that. I probably still will drop the particle cannon down, because I agree with what a lot of the expert players say, in that damage now or money spent now. I'm sorry, money gained now is better than money later. So yeah, I agree, because the supply drop zone doesn't pay for itself for a while. So I'll always build a particle cannon first. But even with that change, I still will. So I don't think it'll change the game too much, but I do agree probably 500 extra is probably better for that. Cold Fusion Reactor going down to 800. Yeah, good change. Remember, Super Weapons is one of the weakest armies in the game, so I think that's pretty good change. Advanced Control Rods is now... Okay, so getting more expensive, because it does produce, like, yeah, it's a 300% increase in the power, but now builds faster. So yeah, I agree with that, because now it actually gives Super Weapon a chance to build up in the beginning. Then you got to be careful again, is like against tank. The EMPs are now going to be more spammable in the beginning. You're going to be able to get more of them up fast, and if it successfully defends against tank slowly push, then it's going to become more overpowered later. But again, I mean, Super Weapons are weak in the beginning. I mean, without a complete overhaul of anything, you're never going to make everything 100% perfect. I'm just thinking it's going to be easier now for Super Weapon to get those EMPs up in the beginning, and then what is tank going to do? I'm just thinking out loud. Humvee is becoming cheaper. Yeah, pretty good. I'm just thinking, again, Super Weapon's going to have loads of Vs now and a strong EMP defense. You just got to be careful here. Sentry Drone, don't like it, get rid of it. Tomahawk. So that's moved a few times. I think 1400 to 1100 to 1200. I think 1200 probably feels better. Gives them... puts them more economically viable against buggies now. Raptor 1400 to 900 for Super Weapon. Yeah, again, agree with all them air changes. Not going to cover them all individually. So last few now. Just conscious of the length of this video, but I do want to try and give feedback on every single thing. Anthrax Beta for GLA. So this is the one from the Palace. So you don't get this if you're Tox, because you've already got it as standard. So it's becoming cheaper, but taking longer to build. So the only reason you're going to be making that really is sometimes against the Chinas, but mainly against a GLA mirror, which again we haven't seen a lot of. So it's going to be cheaper, but taking longer to build. It probably feels better, because I mean, like GLA versus Tox, for example, I would say is imbalanced. Tox has got the favor, so you want to get that as fast as possible. So it being 1500 now makes it economically viable again. But 10 seconds longer. I think that's probably a good change all around, to be honest, because it's now... I would build that more now because of the price. I thought it said Big Bomb for a second. Bio Bomb. 500 to 300. Yeah, I agree, because you don't see bomb trucks. This is anyone that doesn't know, this is the upgrade to the bomb trucks. You don't see bomb trucks all that much. Now with these price decreases, you might see them. I probably would even put them a bit cheaper, to be honest. I still don't think you'll see them that often. Unless you do my disguise as a drone trick or Rage's disguise as a battleship trick, I don't think you'll see them all that often. If you haven't seen that battleship video, by the way, let me know in the description. I'll link you to it, because it's amazing. Yeah, I probably would put them down even a bit more, maybe half of what they were originally. So that would become like 250, yeah, 250 and 250. Because I still think, actually, we'll come on to the bomb tricks in a second. And maybe the bomb tricks have gone down too. Scud Storm to 6 minutes, yeah, because it's the most powerful super weapon by far. To 6 minutes feels better. Scud launcher from 15, 12 seconds. Yeah, I agree, because you don't really see him that often. I think only Size makes it as demo when he's like trolling around and messing around. Again, other game types like in 2v2v2 and free-for-all and all those other kind of game types, they will definitely be more spammable now. I mean, you see them already in those game types, but like especially when GLA gets power. So you've got to think if GLA gets power as well, they're going to build in 6 seconds. But I suppose you shouldn't be letting GLA get power in the first place. Booby Trap for GLA becoming now a lot cheaper. I mean, it's not used in the actual game like at all. So, I mean, you can do whatever you want with that. I still don't think people will get it. It's not worth spending the $400 and wasting 15 seconds of build time to put a Booby Trap on an oil that's probably dead by the time you've got that spare money to do that. Camouflage. So that's the camouflage for the Rebels, going down from 2,000 to 1,000. That is, yeah, that's the Rebels, isn't it? Will I still get that? I didn't get it anyway, and I probably still won't get it. 1,000 to disguise your Rebels. So I think that's all it disguises. I don't think it disguises anything else. So I probably still won't get that. Probably needs to come down even further. But again, I don't think. Like I said, everything that's in the game doesn't need to be in the game. Like sentry drones, in my opinion, can just be deleted from the game completely, and no one will miss it. Camouflage for GLA, maybe it doesn't need to be in the game. I don't know. Hijacker for 10 seconds to 5 seconds. That's good for GLA Vanilla because they're not stealthed whilst they're moving. I think they're stealth while stationary. But yeah, 5 seconds, that's good. Saboteur, 15 to 10 seconds. Yeah, probably good because they're probably a lot underused. I remember Caro used it. I think he uses them in 1.06. Can't remember what the change were in 1.06. But they steal money as well. I think they steal like, is it 500 or 1,000? So they are actually decent. If you get a few of them, you can steal a lot of money. And disables the power as well. So yeah, I like that change. Marauders, got to be careful here against... against China. China can spam loads now. But against like tank, if these Marauders can now build 1.5 seconds quicker and they get up to that double scrap, got to be careful that doesn't become overpowered. Because... yeah, that's just one thing I'm thinking about. But I mean, the build time at the moment is too long. I mean, is it for Tox? Where's the Marauder for Tox? Let's go into 9.5. Okay, so maybe 8.5 feels alright. I haven't personally played that matchup, I don't think. GLA versus Tank. I don't think I did. And it didn't go Marauders anyway, so... yeah, just something to think about. One of the matches to think about. Bomb Truck going from 1,200 to 1,115 to 12 seconds. To be honest, with these changes, it feels like we're going in the right direction. And now you might have tipped it. You don't want to do crazy amount. You don't want to put them to like $500 and everything to all the upgrades to like $100, because then you might see them too much and it might overpower the game. But yeah, I feel like with the bomb trucks, they're going in the right direction. You're probably there or thereabouts. Maybe just a little bit more of a buff. Combat cycle. This is a massive one because now GLA is going to be able to get the oils very, very fast and cheap. You're going to probably make a barracks on a large map like Barren Badlands. You'll get the capture upgrade from your barracks. You'll build 2 combat cycles and send them to the opposite ends of the map, and you're going to have both of them oils very, very fast, and the enemy might not even realize. So, against like again, GLA versus Tank, GLA versus Nuke, where you're probably going to favor the GLA anyway. GLA is now going to have probably an oil advantage. I mean, I know the red guards are getting cheaper further up, but now the combat cycles are so cheap. Yeah, oil. That's what I'd be thinking. Oils are going to be now a priority with them combat cycles. Yeah, just something to think about. I mean, maybe that 350 is all right. I don't know. Anthrax Gamma going from 1,500 to 2,000. Yeah, I agree with that. It probably could even go more to like 2,500 because it is an expensive upgrade. If you watched my How to Play GLA Part 7 or whatever the latest one was, I talked about this upgrade. It's a mental upgrade. It increases the damage that Stingers do by 100% or something crazy like that. It increases the damage of Toxin RPGs by like 35% or something. It's an absolutely massive upgrade. One of the best upgrades in the game. And if you ask a player called Hawkeye, he's always said that's the best upgrade in the game as well. So yeah, it feels like it's going in the right direction. Maybe you could do it a little bit more, but maybe not too much more. Rebel Ambush to 5 minutes. Yes, super overpowered. Demo Trap 600 to 400 and to 5 seconds. Yes, that's good because they're absolutely useless as Tox at the moment. But you've got to remember, Tox is already the strongest GLA. Don't want to make it too overpowered, but Demo Traps are not used really as Tox. But I think they detonate instant. Whereas like a Demo Trap, for example, takes a second, it beeps, and then it explodes. But I think the Toxin ones blow up straight away. But they're definitely underused. But yeah, you just got to think with that demo trap and with Marauders now getting cheaper, maybe like a tank now is going to have a hard time, maybe more against Tox, more than before. Because Marauders are already very strong against tank. And now the demo traps are feasible as well. You could easily get the scrap. I mean, I don't know. Just something to think about. Angry Mob going from 800 to 1,000. Probably, yeah, I agree, because they are really, really strongly like against infantry. Technical 500 to 600. That is a massive game-changing thing. Huge, huge thing. I'll even put it in bold because it just changes the game so much. So, Tox is so strong because it's got cheap technicals and then loads of the strong stuff as well, like mainly the Tox tunnels. That's why it's really strong against the USAs. So, yeah, that's a massive increase on its main unit. So someone's going to have to look back at the stats and see like how often Tox win against USA now. Is it overpowered in terms of Tox still winning, or is it overpowered now and USA's winning more? That's a huge change. Like some of these other things like Booby Trap changing doesn't really impact the game at all in my opinion. But the forgot where I was now. Yeah, technical. That's a game changer. So I think it's in the right direction. I think Tox is already still too strong, but if you notice Tox is now too weak against the USAs, that's why. Probably why. That's the first place I'd look anyway. Marauder, yeah, build time is too long. Just got to be careful that against tank. Bomb truck, 1,200 to 1,100. Yeah, it's in the right direction. Scud launcher in the right direction. Radar van doesn't matter too much, but yeah, probably about right. Combat cycle getting cheaper, but not crazy amount like the GLA there. I suppose it is still 150 off, but that's going to 400. That's 350. Again, yeah, just the oil builds are going to be more popular now. Rebel Ambush for demo. Yes, agree with that. Massively overpowered. Demolitions upgrade. So that became evident in a game with Logica versus Boyka in the grand final. Logica tried to make the demolition upgrade, started sending bikes at Boyka, but the upgrade hadn't finished yet. So definitely game changer. Is demo now losing too much? Where's technicals? Are the technicals still? Ooh. Okay, so if demo is now losing a lot more against USA, I think getting rid of its demo upgrade and the technicals still being 600 might be why it's weak. So yeah, demo when it gets to the late game, sure, it's massively overpowered against anything because the demolitions upgrade, rabble ambush, and all that kind of stuff. But its early game demo is weak. So like by increasing the price of the demo trap, leaving technicals where they are, yeah, demo might be losing a bit more earlier on now. I might be wrong, but if demo is too weak, maybe the price technical needs to come down a tiny little bit. I mean, again, it's never going to be easy to balance these stuff 100%, but I'm just thinking with the demolitions upgrade, you play for example, play demo against Size's Laser, for example. He is super good and hard to take down in that matchup, and with that now nerfed and whatever, I'd be really scared of playing that matchup now with the technicals being at the same price. Marauders coming down. Again, I think in the right direction. Just got to be careful against like tank. I mean, again, there's so many matchups. Quad cannon, 780. What feels weird to me is most units in 0 hour are like, I think they're always rounded to 100, apart from like a ranger, which is 225. 780 and like the battle mass is now 780 just feels like a weird number. I don't think you get that number very often in 0 hours. That's just one thing that makes it feel like it's changed quite a bit. Quad cannon going 750, 780. It feels like demo might be getting nerfed a bit too much. I think demo's going to lose a lot more versus USA. I really do. Because the technicals are 600. Your quad cannon is 780. I mean, what's going on with well, let's check Air Force's Comanches. Air Force Comanches are staying the same price, yeah? So, like, let's say your demo against Air and he makes Comanches. It's already an imbalanced matchup, like, hugely. That change is going to wreck demo, surely. Let's see the other Air Force changes. What is Air Force? So, okay, the Carpet, Patriot. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that matchup, demo against Air, is now becoming more imbalanced. because that's wrecking him. It's as simple as that. They're already too expensive, but putting it to 780, that specific matchup I'm thinking of, because I'm thinking, as I see these changes, I think of what matchups that's going to screw. That's going to screw. I mean, with the demolitions upgrade, yeah, you just wrecking Demo's chances. I'll be surprised if Demo even wins. If you get 2 evenly matched players, I'll be surprised if Demo even wins like 30%, 40% at the very max with these changes. I think Demo's getting screwed a little bit against certain armies. In terms of how I would fix that, I think Quad Cannon probably needs to stay where it was. I'm not even sure. What's the thinking behind that? What is the thinking? Quad Cannon needs to stay at least where it was. Yeah, I think against a lot of things, Demo's going to become too weak. Yes, I agree the Demo Bikes and Demolitions upgrade are absolutely ridiculous. And it's probably like if you were to do an ultimate patch, probably that would get changed, like in patch 1.06. But yeah, this is not an easy one. This is going to be a difficult one. Maybe you want to speak to the community about it, but I think Demo's getting screwed here. Combat cycle. Okay, that's a good one to nerf. To be honest, yeah, nerf this one and make the combat cycle, maybe even make it even more expensive. Put that to like 700 or 800, or put that up to like 7 or 8 seconds. But this quad cannon, I think, needs to come down, man. Definitely. That's doing good things. That's doing good things. But that and that is really, really screwing the general. I'd nerf the other stuff and maybe leave that upgrade a bit, or at least put it to like 40 seconds or something like that. Or maybe, yeah, 40 seconds. 60 feels a bit harsh. Okay, stealth. Saboteur now actually probably worth getting, probably good. Bomb truck, yeah, I think it could probably come down a little bit more as well in terms of build time or price. And combat cycle, again, it's just going to affect the oil builds. I think that's probably all it'll affect. Yeah, just the oil builds. All right, cool. I know that's a long video. Sorry, it's almost an hour, but hopefully you've got some good feedback there. So this is mainly, well, to my viewers, people can see the changes and let me know what you think in the description if you like this patch or not. One thing I will say, and I know I've said this before, I don't want to sound like a parrot, but I strongly believe that making a patch 1.04 plus and like forcing it upon the community will split the community. I play every single day for several hours. Like if we go on Game Ranger now, let's go on Game Ranger now. So let's say how many of the percentage of these games here, so these are all the open games from here to here right now. How many of these are on gentle? Because this is where I find majority of my games, by the way, now. Google says over here. Let me just finish this video. We'll type to in 1 second. You're famous now, Google. Let's say 50% of these people are on gentle and 50% are not. So let's say gentle forces a patch 1.04 plus. That means then that these people that are not on gentle, which sometimes I play with, like sometimes I play that game type there, 3v3 50k pros. That game there, is he on gentle? Probably not. But let's say you force this patch upon people and I'm on gentle, I will then not be able to join some of these because of the versions and stuff. So honestly, I know there's good intentions behind all these patches, 1.04 plus, 1.06 and whatever, and I know loads and loads of efforts put into it, and I know people don't like 1.04, and I agree it's the most imbalanced, one of the most imbalanced games ever. But people love it and like it. But honestly, by forcing a patch upon people, I strongly believe it's going to split the community. And also then when I go on Game Ranger and I'm trying to join some of these games, I won't be able to, or I'll go in the lobby and half of the games I won't be able to join. I strongly believe it'll split the community right down the middle. And I mean, it's already a small community. I know during coronavirus times, now the community is like bigger than it has been in a while. But what's going to happen after that? The CNC remasters are coming. I mean, 1.06 is a really, really decent patch. Yeah, sure, it's not perfect, but who plays that nowadays and how much effort was put into that? Nobody plays it nowadays. That's the truth. And unless it's forced upon people, I mean, when it is forced on people, it's going to split the community. Anyway, I won't stop going on about that. I know, because I know I've mentioned it before, and I know there's really good intentions in making these patches. But hopefully I've given you some good feedback there. And yeah, I don't want to sound boring by saying it's going to split the community, but I do believe that anyway. But I'm sure you've got that. And a massive thanks to the sponsors for running this tournament. Relax and AK Baloney wouldn't happen without them. Let us know your comments in the description if you're just watching this video. Let us know what you think about all of these changes here. Do you think it's balancing the game? Do you think it's making it worse? Do you agree with my comments about demo? Do you agree with my comments about the sentry drone? Let all the comments go in the description, and then no doubt the people who are reviewing this patch, like AK Baloney and Relax, they will take your comments into consideration, I can assure you, because they're after as much feedback as possible. So if you want to get your voice heard, do you want it to be forced upon the community? I remember I did a vote on my channel, and I think it was 50-50 split. 50% wanted to keep 1.04 and 50% wanted 1.04 plus, but it would also be then good to see that data and see how many percentage of those people who want to force the patch are actually new players or old players. I reckon the 50% that voted to keep the game as it is now, I reckon they're the people who've been playing a longer time and are probably going to carry on playing, whereas the 50% who said 1.04 plus, maybe they're like newer players. I don't know, I'm kind of waffling now anyway. Just let me know what you think in the description. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see any more info on this patch, I mean, I've got this Word document here, I'll attach it somewhere, but I'll also put a link in the description where you can view it all yourself as well. All right, GG guys, sorry it went so long. GG, hopefully you enjoyed it, and see you next time.